Very nearly about something. November 2025, the penultimate video of the year. This one will be reasonably short and just going to cover really a couple of things. The main thing that I want to cover is again due to, sorry, I'm being distracted because an Amazon delivery has just turned up, and I think it's something quite exciting, but we'll have to wait for that. Maybe Christmas, maybe later. Two things that I want to do. There are two projects that I've been going on with. One is I'm getting the Himalayan ready for the adventures next year, and one of the biggest things there, and I'll cover this in a bit of detail because I'm delighted with these. I'm not sponsored by them, but LOMO. These are the smaller panniers. They do different panniers. These are the ones that aren't quite so short. I've already got the standard pannier rails fitted on the Himalayan 411. And these just fit perfectly, and they're about £65 for the two. Now, I'm not sponsored by LOMO. I'm not paid to say, and the only people I'm happy to be sponsored by would be Halberg Rassi if they sent me a free yacht. So if you're watching Halberg Rassi, very, very happy. These are great. These will do fine. I'll show you those in detail. The other thing that I want to go into is the engine on the Honda Civic, because I now have got the Jazz back off of Lucy, and I went out for a trip with the Honda Jazz, and I'm looking at them both here, and because I've got quite an old Civic and the Jazz is a bit newer, they're almost exactly the same size. You know what they do with these models? They bring out a model, so they bring out the Civic and it gets bigger and bigger, bring out the Jazz, it gets bigger and bigger. So this is basically the Jazz that's the same size as the Civic. How does that work then? I'm a bit of a Honda fanboy, but you knew that anyway. Oh, there's going to be a new Honda project next year, motorcycle one, and not the Super Dream, so look out for that. So I took the Jazz up for a trip. I went to the NEC, I went to the NEC at Birmingham to the bike show, and I went with my friend that I went around the Trough of Bowland with, and what he was doing is getting me to take photographs of him when he was sitting on bikes, and him taking photographs of me when I was sitting on bikes. The idea being that you could see how happy and how comfortable you were. And the thing is, he's just smiling his head off on all the photographs of the bikes, so he obviously needs to buy all of them. And with me, I look as miserable as sin on all of them, except for, where am I going to put the picture? Except for this one. It's the Royal Alloy GT or GS or something 350. And it's standard. The sidecar comes with, it's just fantastic. If you want more details on this, there's a few reviews. The Mindful Motorcyclist has done a few. I'll put a link down below, and there's a video of him and his wife just having fun in it. It's just so much fun. But anyway, so yeah, I took the Jazz up to the NEC, then I went further up north, then took it down. It's a fine car, it'll do well. So let's get on and have a look at the Himalayan, the few bits and pieces that I've done to it to get it ready for next year. Right, this is very windy, so hopefully there's not too much wind noise. It is time to fit a new tyre. If I look at this, the amount of tread left on the old one is approximately not quite a millimetre. As compared with the new one. Which is about 7 millimetres. So they're also quite squared off. I've done about 6,000 miles, so it's time to put a new one on. I've just gone for the same. This is a Seat, this is a Pirelli MT60, is it? I'll put a thing up if I'm wrong on that. So I'm just replacing like for like, really. And it would be nice to have round tyres again. 6,000 miles, is that good? Is that not? I've done a fair amount of sort of motorway-ish type miles on these things. I've been very happy with them, so yeah, for the time being. And this is just the rear. The front, this has got tons of tread left, but I will replace that in due course. Right, very happy with that. Lots more tread. I just worked out actually, if that's about 1 millimetre down to the middle bit. and that's about 7. So 6,000 miles, that's about a millimetre per 1,000 miles. Is that good or bad? It is what it is. This one's a lot squarer. Be interesting to see how different that feels, because it will feel different. Oh, and there's a little trick that I didn't film me changing the tyre, partly because I'm useless at it, and there are a million good things on YouTube, but let me show you a little trick. These wheels are quite heavy, and I've seen a lot of people with a lot of bikes really struggle to lift it up to get the pin back in. What you need to do is to get one of these blowy up furniture moving things underneath the wheel, and then you literally just blow. Can you see that? No, you can't see that. Obviously I'll put it in now, but you literally just blow that up, and there's a non-return valve on it, and that easily lifts the wheel up, and then when you've got everything in place, you press the thing, pull it out. There you are. A little bit of a trick. I do that all the time. So one of the things I've been pondering for ages is I wanted to get some panniers, and now I have some, and as you can see I've gone for the soft LOMO, which is the same as my top bag. I wanted to try and get the weight a bit lower down, and it makes for a very configurable configuration. This is more or less, I packed it out to more or less everything that I'd need to do a longer term camping trip, although obviously I haven't, you can see I've got plenty of room left in the that bag there. Everything straps on. It's very easy to get everything off. I pondered getting the Royal Enfield hard panniers. New, they're about £450. They're great, they're lockable. There are advantages and disadvantages to hard luggage. The other possibility was Tusk. I like Tusk gear. I've got a Tusk tank bag. It's not fully waterproof, and their panniers aren't fully waterproof, and what a lot of people say is it's a lot of palaver to take them on, put them on, take them off. Of course these aren't lockable. They're 100% waterproof. They're actual roll top dry bags, and I've been very happy with the other LOMO gear that I've got. They're not lockable, but you can wrap some cable around and make it pretty difficult to get onto. So it's all about compromises, and of course I've got the top box, something I didn't think I'd ever have, but it's been incredibly useful, and that's a shad top box. So I'm all ready to go. So I've jacked the suspension up a little bit. The windscreen has been tilted back a bit to give better or less buffeting, better wind, not really wind protection, because it kind of blows it towards my chest. Just in case that wasn't clear enough. That's the original hole. Sorry, that's not blood, that's felt pen on my finger. That's the original hole at the bottom, which tilted the windscreen more upright and more forward, and I've drilled a hole in the top, which you can just about fit in. It just about moves the bottom of the windscreen down to there. And of course what I could do is I could actually cut a groove in there and make that adjustable, but to be quite honest, let's see if that makes any difference first. If it makes it better, I'll keep it like that. If it makes it worse, I'll just move it back to where it was. Very happy with these LOMO bags at the front. That's got my rain gear in one side and then a spare jacket in the other. All the necessary bits and pieces go in my Tusk bag. That is kept mostly empty. I've got my spare inner tube, bits and pieces there, and if I park up I can actually put that bag in there, and it's all nicely lockable and so on. And you may be looking at this and thinking, oh hang on, that's a bit close to the exhaust, isn't it? Well, what I've done, let me show you. Alright, so first of all, it's not particularly close. That's the bottom of the bag, and that's where the exhaust is. This thing that you can see here, that's actually a heat deflector that I've put on. It's a, who's it from? It's a Rhino Walk one, and it just straps on there, so should this get squished down towards the exhaust, it's going to hold it away, and I think that's, do you know what, that's as good as it's going to get, and I think that will be absolutely fine. There's about a finger's width underneath between the bottom of the bag and the Rhino Walk heat deflector, and there's a lot more space at the back there after the exhaust, because this actually sticks quite a bit out past the exhaust. There's no chance of that going on there. Famous last words. Anyway, yep, I'm kind of happy with that. The bike's all ready for next year. I say next year because I'm not going to probably not going to go on any big rides this year. I've got the old Seat front tyre on. I think I'll replace that with the Pirelli. I've got the Pirelli on the back. It's quite a nice day. I think I might just go out and test and see how this feels. Very happy with the setup there. Ready for adventures. So how did that work out then? I just went on an hour or so ride, stopped off. I'll be honest, I had a bowl of cheesy chips. Yeah, I could hardly feel that the luggage was on the bike. That's absolutely fine. I mean, I can load up an awful lot more, and in fact I could put another bag on the top of the roll top bag. But in terms of this, there's still about a finger width between there and there. If I touch the exhaust, I wouldn't want to rest my hand on there, but there's almost no heat on there at all. That's just lukewarm. And if that was really filled up, that would work out very well. So how easy is it to take off and put on? Well, I'll take it off and show you. So that's the LOMO dry bag. That was easy enough, wasn't it? And as for this, it's a couple of things. There are, actually let me do a close up of this. There are a number of straps. There's this big strap that goes over the top of the seat, and of course the roll top bag was on top of that. There's a strap that goes under here, and the seat's locked on, so that gives you a bit of security. And there's a strap that goes actually under the top box, so I'll need to take the top box off and I need to take the seat off. There's the top box, easy enough. And that's the seat unclipped. Actually, something else I need to show you, which is absolutely key. It's all very well keeping the top of this strapped up, but the bottom of it, what I've done, there are actually some straps that come with it, but what I've done, there are a couple of loops here. I've put a bungee cord behind the pannier holder, and it's exactly the right length for this, and that holds it really quite nicely against the pannier frame. So where was I? Right. This seat easily slips out from under here, and then there's literally nothing holding it on. It's just a couple of handles, and I can lift it straight off, and I can keep it with these at that length, and then I just, so much easier than any other system apart from the actual hard luggage, to just pop that off. Then pop the seat back on. I tend to keep the top box actually on the bike, so So just pop that back on and that locks on. Fantastic. The only other thing is there are actually straps that hold the roll top bag on, but they just sort of loop through themselves. So I am very pleased with this. It's a nice setup. The only ones that are a bit tricky to get on and get off are the well, not really tricky. Are these things. I tend to just keep those on because, as I say, there's a sort of a light showerproof jacket in one of them, windproof and showerproof, for when I'm using my layered up system, and there's waterproofs in the other, and they just stay there, and they're also great wind protection. Right, actually, with the bags off, let's have a look at this. This is a Rhino walk thing. It just straps on with a massive, great big Jubilee clip. It's nice and firm. As I say, that exhaust, that's still too hot to touch. That's obviously cool. That's the and it just, I've put it at a bit of an angle because the bag kind of comes down like there. Just push it away. You can adjust that. And I think it was something ridiculous. It was only about 14 pounds, something like that. It's not the most sightly thing. Should I paint it black? I might well paint it black, but at the moment can't really be bothered. And it would have probably been fine anyway, but if it does touch down, it's not going to touch anything hot. So there we have it. Couldn't be happier with the setup. There's going to be lots of travelling next year. Not an awful lot more this year. Bike's going away. Tours are coming back in a week or so's time. So, going to do some boat work. Going to go on a bear hunt. No, going to do some boat work. Really want to get back in the water. This is the Jazz engine. And look at this, this is in such good condition. This is a 2007 car, it's hardly done any miles. I think it's done about 80,000 miles altogether. And it's in such good condition, or used new condition, that the previous people, and now is the time to do it, the people who owned it originally never even took off the protective film from this. So look, some of it's actually come off, but how cool is that? That is absolutely, I cannot stress just how good can do, and Lucy's looked after it brilliantly. So that's what an engine's supposed to look like. It is a different engine from the Honda Civic, but let's have a look. And as I was saying earlier, they kind of look, they're about the same size. They're not actually that different in size. That's the Jazz, that's the Civic. So, for those who haven't seen this sorry tale before, this is the state of the Civic engine. The head gasket went. I'm so proud of my daughter, Lucy, who you've seen in several videos, because she managed to blow up a Honda engine. You just cannot do that. She managed to drive it several miles with no water in it, and it eventually pretty much melted. I took the head off ages ago, and the head has warped a tiny little bit, and I'm going to bolt this back together. This car's going to be no good for anything, to be quite honest. I just want to get it bolted back together, get it running, and then I will sell it for spares or scrap or whatever. So this is the state that it's in at the moment with the head off. That's a very nearly new cam belt, actually. That will need to be sort of smartened and flattened off a little bit, but the main thing is to get the head straightened, and I'm trying a sort of cheaty sandpapery way of doing this. So let's have a look at that. Right, so this is the head off the Civic, and it's really not worth taking it to an engineering shop and getting it shimmed. That's an engineer's straight edge, so I know that that's very, very straight, and I was hoping that this would be pretty much flat, but it's really not. And it's not dreadful, but I don't even have to shine a light between that. I can actually see through there. So I'm going to try a cheaty method, because it's really not worth it while I say taking it to an engineering shop and getting it shimmed off. So I'm going to see if I can sand it flat, and I've seen this on YouTube, and it can go one of two ways. Right, so just cover this with water. That's what I've done, and put a new piece of wet dry on it. Right, so I did continue to have a bit of a go at this, and a few things that I've learned. Now what you can see, because I managed to get, it's very easy to get, some permanent black markers, which meant that it wasn't going to be washed off with the water, and I did get some more very thin double-sided tape. The paper that I got was very, very cheap and basic, unbranded, and it's not really waterproof, and it was tearing, and I was finding that the 120 was too powerful, and that tore straight away. I could just about get away with the 180, which was probably the most effective one for actually taking the surface off, and the 320 didn't tear as much, but it wasn't taking enough off. So I've actually ordered some decent, proper German, can't remember the brand's name, I'll put a little thing up saying what it is, and I'm going to give that a go, but that didn't unfortunately arrive in time for me to finish this. But you can see I coated all of this. I drew on this with felt pen all over, and you can see the areas that still sunk below, so there's a fair bit more that needs to come off of these ends, but as I've been sanding it, this sort of black patch in the middle have been slowly shrinking inwards, and obviously you can see it's more so on that side. Would I recommend this as an approach? Well, obviously I haven't finished it yet, so I don't know if it worked, but no, I wouldn't. No, it only cost a few £100 presumably to take this down to a milling thing. I wanted to try this because I want to see if it would work. No reason why it shouldn't work if you've got plenty of time. And previously, as I covered a bit earlier in the video, sanding was the thing that completely did me in. I couldn't do it at all for more than, well, I couldn't do it at all. And doing this type of thing would have just finished me off. So in a way, it's actually a pleasure that I can do this. So I'll leave it at that. The next time you see this, it will be all nice and smooth, and it'll be putting it back in the car, but I don't know when that will be. Certainly sometime next year. I've got loads and loads of projects that I need to finish off, and I'm slowly starting to get through them. So there we go. As I say, I do like this car. Will I be tempted to keep it if I get it running? Not really, because the Jazz will do everything that I want the Civic to do, and bizarrely it's actually probably got even more space in it. I do need a car. The Himalayan is going to be used an awful lot next year, so I've kind of really got things sorted out. As I said, and and I don't want to repeat myself too much, but last year saw a major solution to my health problems. Felt a lot better, felt fantastically better. Since then I've been concentrating on how to get better. GP has been fantastic, and we've been experimenting with 2 different medications which are fairly similar to see if one is better than the other. I think they're pretty much both the same, but that's fine, and it is continuing to work. So lots of adventures next year. Haven't got my tools back yet. I shall pop up in the Jazz, sorry, two car family, what can I say? Get those, get the rest of the boat and stuff done up, get all these projects that I've started finished, do lots of travelling. There will be lots of motorcycling on the Himalayan, camping. I've now got the LOMO bags. I'm completely set up for that. We'll just have to see. So anyway, this is kind of the last video of the year, because what I tend to do in the December video is just do some sort of stupid song and then a bit of a review of what's happened over the last 12 months, mainly to remind me of what's happened over the last 12 months or so. But anyway, I hope you're all well, and I will see you next month with another video. Cheerio, bye.